A billionaire's 3-month-old baby needs mother's milk, but there's one heartbreaking problem: he has no mother. What happens next will change 2 lives forever. A poor young mother, a stranger in need, and a secret love that grows in the most unexpected place. Can compassion really lead to true love? Watch till the end to see a twist that will touch your heart and leave you believing in miracles. Before we dive into the incredible story, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you never miss our powerful, life-changing content. The phone vibrated during my boardroom meeting. My assistant whispered my name. Urgent. My heart tightened the moment I heard the words. My son. He needs a doctor immediately. The world inside that polished glass tower faded away. Papers scattered. Chairs moved. I rushed out. The drive home felt endless. Every red light burned like fire in my chest. 3 months. My little boy, only 3 months old. I carried him in my arms and rushed into the clinic. His tiny fingers wrapped around mine. Warm. Fragile. The doctor examined him carefully. Silence filled the room. Then the doctor looked at me with gentle eyes. Your baby needs mother's milk. Those words struck like thunder. My son had no mother. Only memories and a silent nursery that still held her photograph. I stepped outside the hospital. Cold air brushed my face. My chest felt heavy. A small coffee stand stood near the sidewalk. Beside it sat a young woman holding a baby wrapped in a worn blanket. Her eyes carried exhaustion. Her voice trembled. Sir, please help. I feel very hungry. Her baby stirred softly in her arms. For a moment the world stood still. An idea rose in my heart. I have a home, I said gently. A safe place. Food. Warmth. Shelter. Her eyes widened. My son needs mother's milk. If you help him, both babies grow strong. Tears shimmered in her eyes. She nodded slowly. That evening my mansion welcomed 2 small cries instead of 1. She sat near the window in the quiet nursery. Soft golden light touched her face. Her baby rested in one arm. My son in the other. 2 little lives drinking peacefully. Something warm filled the empty halls of my home. Days turned into weeks. Her laughter slowly replaced silence. Her kindness softened every corner of my heart. Every morning I watched her care for both babies with endless tenderness. And somewhere between sleepless nights and quiet smiles, 2 lonely hearts began to understand each other in silence. Morning light slipped through the tall windows of my mansion. Soft, golden, gentle. The quiet nursery breathed with the calm rhythm of 2 sleeping babies. She sat near the cradle humming a slow lullaby. Her voice carried warmth that no expensive chandelier ever brought into this house. I stood at the doorway, watching. My son slept peacefully against her shoulder. Her little girl rested beside him, 2 tiny hands almost touching. The sight filled my chest with something unfamiliar. Peace. Weeks earlier this house echoed with emptiness. Marble floors. Cold walls. Endless silence. Now the air smelled of warm milk and baby powder. And laughter. She noticed me standing there. Her eyes lifted slowly. A shy smile appeared on her face. Good morning. Those simple words felt brighter than sunrise. I walked closer. The babies stirred softly, stretching their small fingers. You gave them a real home, she whispered gently. Her words surprised me. This home became real because you came, I answered quietly. She lowered her eyes, her cheeks warming slightly. Outside the window the garden moved with soft wind. White roses swayed slowly. Sometimes I wondered how fate created such strange meetings. A billionaire rushing through a hospital door. A hungry young mother asking for help beside a coffee stand. 2 broken lives crossing in a single moment. Days continued to pass. Breakfast turned into shared conversations. Long evenings filled with quiet understanding. I began to notice small things. The way she smiled at my son. The way she whispered prayers while rocking both babies. The kindness in her eyes when she looked at me. My heart slowly learned a forgotten language. Care. Warmth. Belonging. One evening the house lights glowed softly as rain touched the tall windows. Both babies slept in the nursery. She stood in the hallway holding a folded blanket. For a moment our eyes met. Silence surrounded us. Gentle. Deep. Her voice finally broke the quiet. I never imagined life could change this way. I stepped closer. Neither of us moved away. The rain outside grew stronger, tapping against the glass like a quiet rhythm. And in that silent hallway, two hearts slowly began to understand something deeper than gratitude. The rain outside deepened. Soft drops slid down the tall glass windows of the hallway. The mansion felt quieter than ever. She stood close to me, still holding the folded blanket against her chest. For a moment neither of us spoke. Her eyes carried something gentle and uncertain. "I hope I never become a burden here," she said softly. Her words touched something deep inside me. "You brought life into this house," I replied. "A burden never fills a home with laughter." She lowered her gaze. A small smile trembled on her lips. From the nursery a faint cry rose in the air. Both of us turned at the same time. We hurried inside together. The dim lamp beside the cradle spread a warm glow across the room. My son moved restlessly. Her baby stirred beside him. She lifted them with practiced tenderness, one in each arm. The sight always amazed me. Such strength inside such a gentle soul. She sat in the rocking chair near the window. The chair moved slowly, back and forth. The babies quieted almost instantly. I leaned against the doorway again, watching the peaceful moment unfold. Outside the storm continued. Inside the nursery warmth lived in every corner. She looked up at me again. "Your son smiles more every day," she whispered. "Our son feels safe with you," I answered without thinking. The words hung softly in the room. Her eyes widened slightly. Color warmed her cheeks. For a second the world seemed to pause. Then the smaller baby giggled quietly in her arms. The sound melted the tension between us. Days continued to pass like flowing water. Morning walks in the garden became a routine. She carried one baby. I carried the other. Sometimes our shoulders brushed gently as we walked beside the roses. Neither of us spoke about the growing closeness between us. Yet it lived in small moments. In shared smiles. In quiet glances across the dinner table. In the way the babies reached for both of us at the same time. One afternoon sunlight poured across the nursery floor like liquid gold. Both babies crawled slowly on the soft carpet. Their tiny laughter filled the air. She knelt beside them, clapping gently to encourage their little steps. I watched from the doorway again. That same doorway where weeks earlier everything felt empty. Now my heart felt full in a way wealth never created. She turned toward me suddenly. Her eyes carried a question, and something deeper. Before she could speak, the front gate alarm chimed softly through the house. A car rolled slowly up the long driveway. Neither of us expected visitors. And something about that arrival stirred an uneasy curiosity inside me. The car rolled slowly along the long stone driveway. Its headlights cut through the golden afternoon light. I moved toward the tall front windows. She stood behind me, one baby resting on her shoulder while the other played quietly on the soft carpet. "Are you expecting someone?" she asked gently. I shook my head. The engine stopped near the entrance gate. A man stepped out of the car. Tall, wearing a dark coat. For a moment I tried to recognize the face. Then my breath paused. It was the family lawyer. A strange feeling moved through my chest. He rarely visited without warning. The front door opened as the house staff welcomed him inside. His footsteps echoed across the marble floor. She watched quietly from the nursery doorway, curiosity mixed with a hint of worry. The lawyer approached slowly. His eyes softened when he noticed the babies. "So the little one grows strong," he said warmly. I nodded. "Thanks to her." My eyes moved toward the young woman standing quietly beside the cradle. She looked slightly nervous under the stranger's gaze. The lawyer placed a leather folder on the table. "I came because there is something important your father left behind." My father. Even after months, hearing those words still stirred something heavy inside me. The lawyer opened the folder carefully. Inside rested several documents and an old sealed envelope, yellow with time. He slid the envelope toward me. "Your father wrote this before his last business trip," the lawyer explained. "He asked that you open it when the time felt right." The room grew silent. Outside the sun slowly dipped toward the horizon. The babies continued playing on the soft carpet, unaware of the moment unfolding. I held the envelope in my hands. The paper felt fragile. My heart beat slowly. The young woman watched quietly beside the window, her baby resting peacefully in her arms. Maybe it carries wisdom meant for this moment, she said softly. Her voice felt like calm water against my thoughts. I broke the seal gently. The paper unfolded with a quiet sound. My father's familiar handwriting covered the page. Strong, steady. I began reading slowly. With every line, a deeper realization formed in my heart. The words spoke about kindness, about the value of people over wealth, about the family one chooses with the heart. As I read further, my eyes lifted toward the young woman standing near the nursery door. She looked back at me with the same warmth that first day beside the coffee stand, and something inside me slowly understood the meaning hidden in my father's final message. My father's words rested heavily in my hands. The paper trembled slightly as I continued reading. Wealth builds walls, he had written. Kindness opens doors. The quiet nursery seemed to listen with me. The babies crawled across the carpet, their small laughter filling the room like soft music. I lifted my eyes again. She stood near the window, sunlight touching her hair. Her baby slept gently against her shoulder. For a moment I imagined how different life felt before she entered this house. Cold mornings, silent dinners, empty hallways. My father's letter continued. One day you will face a moment where your heart must choose the path your money never understands. A slow breath escaped my chest. The words felt strangely alive in this room. The lawyer watched patiently from the doorway, allowing the silence to breathe. I folded the letter carefully. She saved my son, I said quietly. My voice carried more emotion than I expected. She saved this house too. Her eyes widened slightly. A soft blush touched her cheeks. You saved us too, she answered gently. Her words carried honesty, not politeness. The baby suddenly burst into laughter again. My son reached toward her baby, his tiny fingers grabbing the edge of the blanket. They giggled together, two little lives growing side by side. The sight warmed something deep in my heart. Even the lawyer smiled. Your father believed destiny arrives quietly, he said. I looked down at the letter again. The final lines waited patiently on the page. When you find a soul who brings warmth to your life, hold that gift with gratitude. The room fell into thoughtful silence. She walked slowly toward the babies and knelt beside them. The carpet glowed in the late afternoon light. Her baby began to crawl toward my son, both of them wobbling clumsily. She laughed softly. I realized something powerful in that simple sound. Joy returned to this house because of her presence. Not because of wealth, not because of power, because of her heart. Outside the sky slowly turned orange as evening approached. The lawyer gathered his folder quietly. I believe your father already sees the path you walk, he said before leaving. The door closed behind him. The mansion returned to its peaceful quiet. I stepped closer to the nursery floor where she played with the babies. Our shoulders brushed gently as we sat beside them. Neither of us spoke. Yet something deeper moved between us. The babies crawled toward us at the same time, their tiny hands reaching upward. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by the warm glow of sunset, a new understanding slowly grew between two hearts still learning how to speak their truth. The sunset faded slowly beyond the tall windows. Soft orange light melted into gentle twilight. The nursery lamp glowed warmly above us. Both babies rested between us on the soft carpet, their tiny fingers exploring everything they could reach. My son grabbed the edge of her sleeve. Her baby tugged playfully at my watch. Their laughter filled the quiet room. She brushed a strand of hair behind her ear and looked down at them with a tender smile. They grow stronger every day, she whispered. I nodded. They grow happier too. For a moment our eyes met. Something deeper lived in that silence. Something both of us felt but neither of us spoke. She lifted my son carefully into her arms. He settled against her shoulder with complete trust. The sight stirred warmth inside my chest. A home once filled with cold marble and expensive silence now carried the sound of small breaths and gentle lullabies. She walked slowly toward the rocking chair beside the window. The chair moved softly as she rocked both babies. Back and forth, back and forth. Outside the evening breeze touched the garden roses. Their scent drifted faintly through the open window. I never imagined a place like this, she said quietly. Her voice carried wonder rather than envy. I sat beside the cradle and watched her. You brought life into this place, I answered softly. The rocking slowed. Her eyes lifted toward me again. There was hesitation there, and something fragile. I always feared tomorrow, she admitted gently. Life beside the street taught me that nothing stays safe for long. Her words carried truth. I stood and walked closer to the chair. The baby slept peacefully in her arms now, tiny chests rising and falling. You deserve safety, I said. You deserve peace. Her eyes glistened slightly in the warm light. For a moment she seemed ready to speak again. Then quiet footsteps echoed faintly down the hallway. One of the house staff approached the doorway. Sir, dinner is prepared. I nodded slowly. She carefully placed the babies into the cradle beside each other. Their small hands found each other instinctively even in sleep. The sight made both of us smile. We walked down the long hallway together. The chandelier lights reflected across the marble floor like stars. Our steps moved in calm rhythm beside each other. At the dining room entrance she paused. Her hand rested lightly on the chair. She looked around the elegant room with quiet humility. A table built for 10 people. Tonight only 2 chairs waited. She sat slowly. I took the seat across from her. The candles flickered gently between us. For a moment neither of us touched the food. The quiet felt different tonight. Deeper. She finally looked up at me. Her voice carried a soft courage. Sometimes destiny surprises 2 people in ways neither of them ever expected. And the warmth in her eyes made my heart wonder what the next moment might bring. The candlelight trembled softly between us. Her words still floated in the quiet dining room. Sometimes destiny surprises 2 people in ways neither of them ever expected. For a moment neither of us spoke. Outside the tall windows the night deepened. The garden lamps cast golden circles across the roses. I studied her face in the warm light. There was strength there. Strength shaped by hardship, patience and quiet courage. And sometimes, I said slowly, destiny brings 2 lives together for a reason we only begin to understand later. She lowered her eyes. A gentle smile touched her lips, though her fingers still rested nervously around the edge of the glass. Dinner passed slowly. Soft conversation. Small laughter. Long pauses filled with comfortable silence. For the first time in many months the grand dining room felt alive. When the meal ended we walked together back through the quiet hallway. The mansion rested peacefully around us. The nursery door stood slightly open. A faint glow from the night lamp spilled into the corridor. She stepped inside first. Both babies slept in the cradle, their tiny hands still touching. Their soft breathing filled the room like a lullaby. She leaned gently over them, adjusting the blanket with careful tenderness. I stood beside her, watching. Something inside me felt steady and warm. This house used to feel so large, I murmured. She looked up. And now it feels like a home. Her eyes softened. The rocking chair creaked slightly as she sat beside the cradle. The chair moved slowly again, back and forth, back and forth. I remained standing near the window. The moonlight spilled across the nursery floor like silver water. Sometimes I wonder, she said quietly, how life chooses its paths. I turned toward her. She continued rocking gently, her gaze resting on the babies. A few weeks ago I sat on a cold sidewalk with an empty stomach, she whispered. And now I sit here, inside a warm home with 2 little souls who trust me. Her words carried gratitude and disbelief at the same time. I walked closer. The silence between us felt different tonight. Closer. Warmer. The rocking chair slowed until it stopped. She lifted her eyes toward me again. There was courage there now, and a quiet hope. Life brought us together for these children, she said softly. Then her voice paused for a moment. The moonlight touched her face as she spoke again, even more gently. But sometimes my heart wonders if fate might be guiding our lives toward something even deeper. Her words lingered in the quiet nursery. The moonlight rested gently on the cradle where the babies slept side by side. Something deep moved in my chest. I stepped closer to the rocking chair. For a moment the world felt very small. Just the 2 of us and the soft breathing of 2 tiny lives. What does your heart see? I asked softly. She looked down at her hands. Her fingers traced the edge of the blanket slowly, as if searching for the courage hidden between the threads. I see kindness, she said. I see a man who opened his door to a stranger without hesitation. Her eyes lifted toward me again. And I see a home that gave my child warmth when the world gave us cold streets. Her voice trembled slightly. But sometimes. She paused. The silence between us deepened. The night wind brushed softly through the open window. Sometimes I feel something more growing quietly between us. Her honesty filled the room with a fragile warmth. My heart beat a little faster. For weeks the same feeling had lived inside me, hidden behind careful words and respectful distance. I knelt beside the cradle where both babies slept. Their tiny fingers still rested together. Two innocent lives that somehow connected our paths. They brought us together, I said gently. Yes, she whispered. But the heart chooses its own path after that. I looked at her. Her eyes carried hope and fear. Fear of dreaming too much. Fear of losing the safety she had finally found. You gave my son the most precious gift, I said slowly. You gave him a mother's warmth. Her breath caught softly. The rocking chair moved just slightly again. But your son already had a mother, she replied quietly. Her eyes moved toward the framed photograph resting on the nursery shelf. The woman who once filled this house with love. The woman my heart still remembered. I followed her gaze. Then slowly I looked back at her. My past carries memories, I said gently. But life continues to write new chapters. The words seemed to surprise her. She sat very still. The nursery clock ticked softly on the wall. Time moving quietly forward. Outside the moon climbed higher above the garden. Inside the room the warmth between us grew stronger with every passing second. One of the babies stirred gently in the cradle. She leaned forward instinctively, placing her hand softly on the tiny blanket. Her tenderness filled the moment with something pure and beautiful. I watched her carefully, and somewhere deep inside my heart, a new realization slowly began to bloom. The morning sun spilled gently across the nursery floor, painting everything in soft gold. Both babies stirred in the cradle, tiny hands stretching toward the light. Their laughter, small and innocent, filled the room with a melody that felt like hope itself. She knelt beside them, brushing their soft hair and whispering words of love. Her eyes glistened with a calm strength I had come to cherish. I stepped closer, my heart lighter than it had been in years. All the fear, all the loneliness, all the weight of the world seemed to have melted in the warmth of this home. For months life had tested us both. I, a father learning to navigate loss and responsibility. She, a mother fighting for survival with nothing but courage and a kind heart. Yet together we discovered that even the smallest acts of kindness can transform lives. She looked up at me and smiled softly, a smile that spoke volumes of shared struggle, quiet understanding, and an unspoken bond that had grown stronger than either of us imagined. We were strangers, she whispered, and now we are a family. I nodded, feeling the truth of it deep in my bones. The babies wriggled happily in her arms, unaware of the complexities of life, yet showing us the simplest truth of all. Love is patient, it is nurturing, and it can grow in the most unexpected places. I reached out and held her hand, not as a gesture of duty, nor of obligation, but of gratitude and recognition. Gratitude for the courage she had shown, the warmth she had brought, and the love she had sown into our little lives. The house, once cold and empty, now breathed with life. Laughter and whispers, lullabies and footsteps, love and trust. It was a home because we chose to fill it with what mattered most. And in that choice, I realized the greatest lesson my father ever intended for me. Life may hand you struggles that seem insurmountable. Loss may leave empty spaces in your heart. But compassion, selflessness and courage have the power to fill those spaces with something infinitely greater than wealth, status, or comfort. We learned that true love does not demand perfection. It grows quietly, nurtured by care, patience, and shared pain. It is not born of grand gestures, but of small, consistent acts of kindness. And as I watched her cradle my son and her daughter together, a quiet peace settled over me. We had found family, love, and purpose, not because life had been easy, but because we had chosen to embrace each other's hearts when they needed it most. From that day forward, our lives were no longer defined by loneliness or fear. They were defined by love, gratitude, and the understanding that even in the hardest times, there are hearts willing to share, to care, and to heal. And in that, we discovered the greatest truth of all. Love given freely transforms not just the receiver but the giver, and sometimes it changes the world in ways we never expected.